Again, in this video, we're going to go over section R3, objective 2, which is about simplifying expressions of the forms a raised to the 1 over n and a raised to the m divided by n. So let's go over the definition of both of those. Let m and n be integers such that m divided by n is a rational number in lowest terms, and n is greater than 1. Then a raised to the 1 over n power is equal to the nth root of a, and a raised to the m divided by n power is equal to the nth root of a raised to the m power, which is equal to the nth root of a, all raised to the m power. Now, if n is even, we require that a be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so now we kind of know what it means to take this number a and raise it to the 1 over n power, and what it means when we say a raised to the m divided by n power. And so I just want to practice this with some examples. Okay, so let's try to figure out what 25 raised to the 1/2 power is equal to. Now, just to give you some context, we already talked about what it means to raise 25 to like the second power or the third power, right? If you raise 25 to the second power, that just means you multiply 25 by itself. If you raise it to the third power, it means 25 times 25 times 25, 3 times. So it's a little mysterious as to what it means to take 25 and raise it to the 1/2 power. I mean, what does it mean to take 25 and multiply it by itself 1/2 of a time? Okay, so we're going to figure out what this is equal to. Okay, algebraically. Intuitively, it's hard to tell. So I'm going to call this b. Okay, and we're going to try to figure out what b is equal to. So let's say you take this and you raise it to, you square it. Okay, so you take 25 to the 1/2 power and you square it. Okay, which is the same as b squared, because that is equal to b, right? So I'm squaring this and I'm squaring this. Okay, so let's see what this is equal to. Well, this means, right, when you square a number, it means multiply by itself. So this means 25 to the 1/2 power times 25 to the 1/2 power. And since these exponents, since the bases are the same, you can add these exponents together. And so that's the same as 25 to the 1/2 plus 1/2. And when you add 1/2 to 1/2, you get 1. So this is 25 to the first power, which is just 25. Okay. So now we have this situation where this number right here, right, remember this is b, and we're squaring b, right? So b squared is equal to 25. Well, we saw from the last section, if b squared is equal to 25, that means that b is equal to the square root of 25. Okay, this is what we mean by the square root of 25, right, from the last section. Remember, the index of this radical is 2. So if I tell you that b is equal to the square root of 25, that means b, when you square it, raise it to this index, right, when you square it, has to equal the radicand, which is 25. So these are equivalent statements, right? When you say b squared is 25, that means b is equal to the square root of 25. Okay? And so that's what this equals, right? So b is the square root of 25. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 here, and I'm going to put a 1 here. 25 raised to the first power is still 25. Okay? And so this is how it ends up working. This number here is the top number in this fraction, and the index of the radical is the bottom number. Okay? And of course, the square root of 25, what number would b be equal to, right? What number squared would he give you 25, right? Well, the only number that would work would be 5, right? 5 times 5 gives you 25. So this actually equals 5. Okay, but I think the important thing to take note of here is what do these numbers in this fraction, what do they do, or what do they mean? The bottom one is the index of the radical, and the top one is the radicand being raised to that power. Okay. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, the 3 indicates that we have a cube root. The bottom number is the index of the radical. And then the 1 means the radicand inside of there is going to be raised to the first power. Okay, so basically this means 64 over 27 raised to the first power, and then the cube root of that number. Okay, now let's try to figure out what the cube root of that number is. Okay, let's call this b. This means b cubed has to equal the radicand, 64 over 27. Okay, and so we're looking for some number that we can multiply by itself 3 times and get 64 over 27. And the number that works would be 4/3. Okay, and here's why. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, and 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So the answer would be 4/3 in this case. Okay, so let's try this one. This means take the 4th root of negative 81 raised to the first power. Okay, so let's call this b and see if we can't figure out what that is. So this means we're looking for a number that we can multiply by itself 4 times and have it equal negative 81. But remember, we talked about this last time. When you multiply a number by itself an even number of times, you'll never get it to be a negative number. So this is not a real number. Okay? So C is not real. Okay, D. So 32 raised to the 3/5 power. All right, what does this mean? This means you take the 5th root of 32 raised to the 3rd power. Okay, so the order in which you do this doesn't matter. So if you were to take 32 and cube it, you would get a very large number. And so to avoid that, you can actually do this in any order. You can actually take the 5th root of 32 first and then cube it. Those are the same thing. The order in which you do this doesn't matter. You can raise it to the 3rd power first and then take the 5th root of it, or you can take the 5th root of this number and then raise it to the 3rd power. You'll get the same answer. So I'm just going to take the 5th root of 32 first and then raise it to the 3rd power. Okay, so let's see the 5th root of 32. When you say the 5th root of 32 is equal to some number b, okay, what does that mean? Okay, that means you're trying to find some number that you can multiply by itself 5 times and get it to be 32. And the only number that works would be 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. Okay, so this is equal to 2. Okay, but then you're going to cube that. So 2 cubed is 8. Okay, so 32 raised to the 3/5 power is the same as 8. All right, last one. This means cube root of negative 27 squared. Okay, but again, I think the order it would be better to change the order here, because when I square 27, I'm going to get a really large number. So let's do this in the other order. Let's take the cube root of negative 27 first, and then square that number. Okay, remember the order in which you do this doesn't matter. You'll get the same number either way. Okay, so let's figure out what the cube root of negative 27 is first. Okay, so this means you got to multiply a number by itself 3 times and get negative 27. Okay, and the only number that would work is negative 3. Okay, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and then 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So here, the cube root of negative 27 would be negative 3. And then you're going to square that number. And when you square this number, right, you multiply negative 3 by itself, right, you get positive 9. And so that's negative 27 raised to the 2/3 power, right? It's equal to 9. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.